All right, here we go again. Buckle up, rough roads ahead. I'm not sure what's going on here, but it may have hooked me into my Wi Fi and my Wi Fi wasn't cooperating. I'm actually outside. The signal may have been too weak. Just harassed me with a police officer. He gave me the finger. No, he didn't. He's talking to this other guy. He said, Trump, and gave me the finger. He actually has a 20% hat on. And he's blue MAGA. So again, I speak out a lot. I know there's somebody listening either through my phone or outside. I try to isolate which one it is. The AI is weird because you can actually make it mess up. I don't know if you can do it anymore. I used to do it just to, I could tell it was a computer process because you can make it mess up. It's like, making one of Elon's robots fall on its face. Laugh at it, kick it in the ass. So basically, the idea is this: if I'm correct, if I'm understanding my thought mixed with what other think tank thoughts, right now, settled law for the time being is that gender dysphoria exists, and the best way to begin the process is to level-headedly. It's even in the scriptures. You may say it's a sin or not a sin, or they're forgiven or they're not forgiven. However, your eternity depends on forgiving them. No, I'm just kidding. But it might. I don't know. So it exists. The idea where the libs came up with it. Well, the diagnosis is newer, but it's reality. We finally isolated what it is. Where you should differ because you have a different, basically a different belief system, but you also, I mean, neutrally, I can disconnect. I can go neutral. That's why I can't vote for Trump when he does that, because it's not neutral. I can't go that direction, or I lose my credibility. It's just like if I believed everything I knew and everything I do is me, not God, empowering me to do it, then I wouldn't be able to do it. So if I went with Trump, I'd lose all my power and I'd be an idiot like Trump. But you'd be wealthy idiot. I couldn't do it. God really is my father. Probably the only father I've ever actually known. But that's neither here. Oh, FBI here. You see this mental illness, right? You see it, right? God's the only father he's ever known. You know what that means? No, we don't need that, FBI. Go away. You've been doing that to everybody for 20, 30 years, and now everybody's a nincompoop. So, essentially, there's a difference in treatment, where the treatment should go, when it should start. There's actually a difference. Again, the idea is if you start from the idea that it doesn't exist, you're not going to get anywhere. Because the AMA or somebody like that's going to sue you and present their case, and you're going to lose. Your case is not going to work. I'm telling you. So what you, and I'm not talking about ripping anybody off. I'm just being honest. That's free when I go. The true self said that's free. So the treatment plan is too far left. Every Munchausen by proxy mother is looking for some excitement. And I'm not saying it's every case that all of a sudden their son or daughter is transgender. But you know what that means? Given enough time, again, because given enough time, the spies attack you, and then all of a sudden something becomes more permanent than it was before. Same thing. If a mother or a father tells a young child that they're female and they're male, or vice versa, male when they're female, eventually the child will be it. Now, I'm not telling you that it doesn't exist, the actual gender dysphoria, but I've seen a couple cases where a father was thrown away from their kid, and the mother had not gender dysphoria, mother had Munchausen by proxy. I mean, it's obvious. So again, that's one of your issues. So you have when again you're going to say, well, the father has rights, da, da, da. But what you want to study so you can bring evidence, and you want to research because it already exists. Because I've seen cases where the mother had Munchausen by proxy and she was given custody. The father was articulating a case for Munchausen by proxy. Well, it's a difficult lifestyle. If they don't have to live it, then they shouldn't live it. Right? It's a shame to alter kids into that. Now, there are kids that probably have it. So once you establish the idea that the diagnosis may be skewed, then you got somewhere. But don't play a game with it. Well, it doesn't exist. The diagnosis is false all because the court's most likely not going to find that. I don't know how extorted they are, but probably not to that level. So what you want to do is establish your own. Again, one of the problems is if you go too far right, trying to establish the church's protocol, then you're not going to help anyone. The church should sit there and pray and heal people when they walk past. Healed, and then they might get somewhere. Somebody agrees with me. So essentially, what you're probably going to find is that some parents have talked their child into gender dysphoria. Some people on the internet have talked their child into gender dysphoria. You'll find that type of thing. It could be metaphysically. It may include some sort of spell. Now, if you have a spell that makes you gender dysphoria and it can't be healed, then that's what you are. Right? Look, it's insulting me saying that's what I am. It's hard to speak about the things I speak about. I get attacked, and if people are going, yeah, I know, I don't talk about it for that reason. So what you're going to probably end up, I don't know. Again, maybe the treatments will be found that they don't have to cross the gender. Again, when you have it happening in your body, everybody else is crazy. No, there's no way to treat this other than to give me female hormones or to give me male hormones. And again, there's no doubt some of it is treatable with birth gender hormones. I've dealt enough with. I didn't really heavily use andro, but I've used some andro over the years, and I know how it all works. And so does Joe Rogan and other people that are on that type of stuff or have been on that type of stuff. They just won't tell you because they believe that would cause some issue for them in life. So they're just like, meh, nobody's. But they got money, okay. Okay, conversion therapy is illegal, and there should be nothing called conversion therapy. That's what they named it, and that's what some people wanted to use it for. Now, I believe it is unlawful to deny a person treatment to identify. Okay, I want to say identify. Say somebody wants to have they want to be birth gender, and they want to be birth sexuality or heterosexual. Again, there's an argument one way or the other, and I probably worded that wrong. I may offend people. If it offends you, I apologize, but we're trying to get to some place where these children and the adults that are suffering from some sort of gender dysphoria can receive the best treatments, protocol, analysis, so on and so forth, and research, whatever we need to do. That's where the Trump administration should go, figuring it out. They haven't really fully figured it out. They don't want to, I don't think, at this point. So the the birth hormone treatment may actually help. Estrogen, if you have estrogen, you might turn gay quicker. I mean, you eat a lot of soy, you could end up turning gay. There's all sorts of things because we're all, again, I'm not an endocrinologist, but I recommend endocrinology. Study it all. But I know in your mind, like, but I'm this, and I know I'm this. I've been in it for 30 years. Again, we're not gonna. You should not be thinking. I don't think the court's going to let you offend people. If somebody's been in it for 30 years and they don't want to change, then you just got to let them be. Well, you can't make laws to hurt them. Now, again, you don't probably have to have a co-ed bathroom or a co-ed locker room, but you need to accommodate them. It's hormones affect psychology. All those alpha males out there, at least Andrew, if not steroids and anti-estrogens and estrogen blockers. So estrogen blocker is a big one. Now I don't know what happens because I tried to find out if Elon's wife, I guess Vivian's mother, was a vegetarian eating a lot of soy, or was Vivian at a young age. Again, the answer might be a lot of broccoli. Broccoli, you take a lot of broccoli to block it, but broccoli is an estrogen blocker. So if a young girl loves broccoli, something might happen in her body. So again, there's also nutritional. Kennedy there. I don't know if he knows all this stuff, but but you can actually be more male or more female by what you eat, and that is again playing off of the hormones. So there's a lot more to study, and you should be responsible. And no, Clarence Thomas, I'm not around Trump. I can't tell him that. Because he probably doesn't know who I am. I mean, I think he doesn't know who I am. Roberts may know who I am. His picture comes up possibly knowing who I am, but I don't know. Again, it's psychic. And, Rabbi Saul Ben Yamin, also known as Paul in the Bible, said these things would not work perfectly, and they do not. So, well, the thing is, you want to get somewhere. And the more friction you have against the libs, the less you're going to, I don't care, even if you get everything done, you're still going to get less out of what you're doing with the more friction that you have. So Trump already kind of alleviated a little bit of it. He's and again, he's part of that hype and what is it called? The WWE, the MMA, whatever it is. People, kill everybody, Alpha Bill. So again, but the more friction you have, less likely you're going to succeed. Plus, a lot of the studies, I looked at them, they were complaining, the transgender people, and they're honest people, a lot of them, so you have to understand that. Right? They're not like Caitlyn, a dishonest transgender person. So they're honest transgender people, and they looked at the studies, and they kind of in layman terms, and they have knowledge, and they discredit them. And I think the Supreme Court has, they get online, they look around. I don't know if it's gone before the court, but they've seen some of this stuff, and they said no. So my assumption, and I'm not making a ass out of you and me, but what I believe is that what I believe is that you have like the General Flynn's of anti-transgenderism, and they get paid money to hype things up. And I think that's what the gist of what I was receiving this morning was, that it's majority of it's just hype, and you put it before the court, you can have a loss. So, and then every time you put something before the court, you're going to receive a hit, and if you lose, you get a bigger hit. No matter who puts stuff before the court, it takes you down a little bit, because we're not in an up world, we're in a down world. Right? The stuff that they were presenting, I mean, some of the states used it, but I don't think it's not going to get you where you need to go. Again, what I'm telling you, you have to develop alternative alternative treatment. And to say that it doesn't exist probably won't work, because they're going to pull out case studies of people that really did have a horrible time and they're dead and kill themselves. And yeah. Well, it's just like abortion and genetics. The church is against, and the right wings are, some of the right wingers, because the church is against, the Catholics, they're against genetics. But already genetics has caused abortion to decrease, the study of genetics and different therapies and what causes it. And, right. So again, this is where we're getting with this stuff. Right? The way to get to it is, right. The initial thing is the psychology of the parent. That's you have to attack the psychology of the parent, saying, look, this exists, but we believe there is something going on that's exacerbating it, that we would have a lot less cases. We wouldn't, have to worry so much about how this was all coming out. You don't have to provide, I believe you don't have, like I said before, you don't have to provide co-ed bathrooms and locker rooms and as such. But I do believe that you have to accommodate. And I don't believe a nurse's bathroom works. You need a public access single stall bathroom, and you probably need a couple of them. Right. And that's for anybody. I mean, a lot of people prefer that. I mean, I remember there's kids that didn't want to change in locker rooms, and they had, it was years ago, but they're very uncomfortable with it. So again, there's ways around it. Actually, it's a left wing gym. What is that gym? They don't judge. They actually judge, but they don't judge. You know how the libs are, right? They're on both sides are like that. They all lie. Right, it's just hype. It's all it is. Politics is hype. But the Planet Fitness, they actually have little cubicles that you can go into and privately change. I found that to be, probably something everybody should have, instead of having to change in the middle. Walk around naked in the shower. I mean, you can change in the shower, but they actually had space, and that was nice. So you should, and then you can provide federal funding to provide these type of single stall bathrooms, single stall locker rooms, that kind of thing. Again, sometimes it's safer for somebody. If somebody feels unsafe because, maybe some guys are hitting on her, or, women are hitting on a guy, whatever it is, they can go into a single stall and just feel like they have a little bit more security. And that, sometimes hitting on is, what do they call it? An initial activity, make contact, and then if somebody is deranged, then they go into some sexual crime against the person. Or sometimes they, assault. They just assault them because they wouldn't, be their girlfriend or have sex or something like that. So again, that would be a good thing. Well, people think, well, what's wrong with these young people? The world that was given to these young people is from all of you. And I told you, casting spells all day, imposing your will, and it's just a tangled web of BS. And when they look at the sexuality of people, they're actually seeing the spells. That's what people were spelled into. Like what do they call them? I forgot what those people were called. The polymorphs. What's the one thing? Oh, the Pan people, right? The Pan people and all that. That comes from casting spells on the community, and church people do it because they say anybody that's a liberal is this, and they have that kind of sex, and they do this to people. Whammy, 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 and then people come in and go, see, there's one over there. There's one over there. Oh, Jesus is here, not there. Again, it's very readable if you're a real honest psychic, or a real honest prophet, real honest whatever of the Lord. So the idea is that to move on it so you make it better. If you move on it to destroy it and because you believe something, the court will most likely block you. You can't. Again, here's another part that they wanted me to tell you. If you get the House, Senate, and the president, it is scary for any administration to have that. However, the court isn't going to say, okay, you made a law. Just because, what's his name? Gorsuch, I think it is, said something about that. It's the AMA can still come along and say, no, that law is unconstitutional for some reason. or it isn't only unconstitutional. I think if they can provide evidence that it's based upon harming factors, they can stop it. Like you say, well, we're not going to pay, you know, we're not going to allow insurance companies to pay for blood tests. Well, you can't do that because obviously blood tests are required to keep people healthy. So again, there's a limit as to what you're going to be able to do, even if you have the House, Senate, and everything else. If you try to legislate Christianity, you'll probably fall on your face because they're not going to do that. That would not be the government of God. Jesus would not have accepted that. Again, everything that's in Judaism is supposed to be followed by Christians to a certain degree. I told you before, it's not only 5 books. And even in those 5 books, it's in there. Well, because Jesus knew the other teachings also. Jesus was a Jewish rabbi. He wasn't anything else. You all made him everything else, just so you could be a megalomaniac and take over the world. So I have my it was like a mini form of what I purchased. It's a breastplate with the stones on it. I mean, it's not 100% accurate, probably, but it's a nice representation. And on my Torah, I have a shield. All Torahs have that shield, that breastplate, and I put that one on there. The smaller one looks really good, so the bigger one's going to be nice. I kind of did a nice thing for the man, even if he's Mossad or not. I don't know. I said, just refund half of it because he said, well, I could do this. Refund half, I'll buy another one. Just make sure it's the right one. Make sure Mossad doesn't grab it and mess it up. Whether it's in Israel or in the United States. But it looks real nice. It's definitely a great purchase, actually, not just a good purchase. So the two places you should go initially is how it's being diagnosed, how the parents are possibly steering the child. But you have to realize that the one point that if a parent steers a child long enough, and it is a form of child abuse, the child's going to have gender dysphoria. It exists. So you have to say, okay, well, how do we treat that? And parent could be spelling them too. Hey, you're feminine. You're masculine. The church is Munchausen by proxy. Puts sin in everybody else's life metaphysically, and by keeping them down. The higher you go up in a society, the easier it is to conform to something, like money, status. But again, not always that. There's other things. It's just a general rule. So you have to look at it. It isn't always necessarily Munchausen by proxy. It could be some other things that are causing the child to believe that. But again, I felt kind of, some of the fathers are just, alpha male. But some of them, I felt sorry because they noticed that the mother was kind of a Munchausen by proxy situation. They didn't call it that. But again, that's what they described. You can't pass a law where there's contradictory science. I believe that's true. You get sued. Constitutional is only one level of it. I mean, within a constitution, you're required to, look out for the good of the people. And if what you're doing is not based in science, and they have something based in science, the court will probably side with the science. Like I said, well, we don't think blood tests are appropriate. We're going to make a law where people are not allowed to receive blood tests. Well, the AMA will come in or whoever it is and say, no, we need to do this. It's the same thing. I'm just making it an easier example. And the court will say, yes, you're right. I'm going to go get a blood test later today. Well, because the class, the cast of clowns, Vivek. What do you mean I can't fire everyone? Elon, I'm black, MAGA, fire everyone. It's not a corporation, which I tried to tell you that before. It doesn't work better because then somebody owns the government. So then that sets up Adolf Hitler, whether Trump is one or not. So again, there's a check and balance in every government operation. I'm not telling you that an employee is going to feel comfortable going against the boss, but the employee has to make a decision as to whether they're going to commit a crime or not if the boss tells them to commit a crime. So they were saying that there is no check and balance. That's a lie. The check and balance is built into the government. It's not official, but an employee cannot commit a crime and he's not covered. The president's covered. The employee's covered as long as the crime was accidental. The president, I think, has a little more coverage, but not complete. Because you can't rob a bank. Like Donald Trump can't do, let's go back around, gets with Vance, let's go rob a bank. You can't do that. You're not covered. Well, we regulate banks. We protect banks. Without us, there'll be no protection. So we're going to rob a bank. So you can't do that. So the idea that you can just commit a crime is not true. And that was one of the, because it never got to the point of defining further what that meant. And the court was, I guess, hoping that would happen. And it didn't happen. It's like a catch-22. They tried to protect Donald Trump, and then their thing got messed up because they never got to the point of adjudicating what crimes are covered and what does it actually mean. I know Jack Smith is just some people are angry at Jack Smith for not being more aggressive. I'll tell you that right now. He's not an aggressive attorney. He kind of just let it. What next, huh? So he was an aggressive attorney. That's the first thing they'd probably look at if you wanted to try to, dig into him somehow. He wasn't an aggressive attorney. He did his job. I believe he had authority. And that's that. Even if he didn't have authority, he believed he had authority. You have to prove that he actually knew he didn't have authority, which I don't think you can prove because I don't think it would be true. Not like the statements Trump makes. Oh, yeah, I know I didn't win. No, he didn't say that. He didn't say, no, I know I don't have authority. He never said that, I'm sure of it. So, they don't want you to waste your time. It doesn't look good. You got 50, no-goes from the court. Again, it harms people's psychology, you get all paranoid. The best thing is to help everybody relax. And then you'll be able to get the other stuff going forward more easy. Yeah, like I said, there was a hostile takeover in government by the deep state, but it's not like a corporate hostile takeover. You're not going to just go in there and, they do it. And I wouldn't do it. I'm not recommending that you do deep state. I know I said that you were deep state. It sounded like you wanted to be deep state. The opposite of deep state isn't Republican. And the synonym of deep state isn't liberal or Democratic Party. I've already told you that for years. Well, the bottom line is I'm not sure what your platform really is going to be, because I know Trump changed it last time. But there are people that voted for Trump that there's no way if he does his platform that they're going to benefit from it. Like they're gonna be sitting here in 2 years. Maybe you'll be able to bamboozle them, but going, wait a minute. They took away this. They took away that. I mean, I was told there's people on SNAP program, there's people on straight up like just regular disability, not retirement disability, and they voted for Trump. Like some of those people talking about how their medical treatments, they're actually on disability, and they're like speaking up to Trump and their right wing platform, but their platform is to diminish that. Now, if you're on it, you probably be very difficult for you to lose it unless you're on. There's like a temporary status for the first so many years for some people's cases. So I mean, those could, but I'm thinking, what? Well, it is what it is. You know, that's why I always spoke about personality worship being, the way they're going to bring the end on. Now, the way whatever happens, happens, and then we'll get to that point. We'll see what it is, and we'll decide whether Trump's a devil or not. But he's been a devil. There's no doubt. Attacked me for 4 years while I supported them. Again, they weren't interested in doing the right thing against the deep state then. So gender dysphoria is a big one. And I don't know, maybe you have an inside where they say they're going to refute it, but we'll see. Well, I mean, I saw it all along. I didn't say too much. I just kind of said a little bit. Every time they flashed the amount of money they were sending overseas, people were looking around going, wait a minute. I can't, right. What they wanted was some of that COVID, what are those things called? Those payments to help offset the inflation. You're sending it to make bombs to kill kids. So that really did mess up some of it. Again, I told you that war shouldn't have been honored the way it was. They should have forced them into something. And then Ukraine, same thing. People going, there goes my money to these people. And nobody knows how much was siphoned off for them to have their millionaire life. And a few people were arrested. I do admit that, but no, there's guaranteed off of both of those wars. Some people became very wealthy, and I'm not just saying stock market. Although the stock market, Trump and his people did benefit from those wars. They made money, just like they made money from COVID. Well, and so did the libs, as they put it, the libs. That's what they're calling them online now, libs. There is something weird about the whole election, but again, Kamala Harris didn't say I'm going to prosecute Trump. She said the law system will take care of it. Now she did play it up same way Trump played up stuff around her. She was going to be a middle of the road type president. That's what I believe. Well, I think I could have talked her into some more research for gender dysphoria, right? Or not just me, like everybody. Just to see if there's alternative treatments. That's really the big one. You have to get to the point to find out if there's alternative treatments that work. And, conversion therapy is the wrong terminology because that says that you're trying to convert somebody. If somebody is seeking gender identity treatment, sexual identity treatment, personally seeking it, voluntary, that should be available. When they took that away, I'm like, what? So somebody doesn't want to be gay has no place to go. Somebody doesn't want to be trans has no place to go because you're not going to accept that type of treatment. I mean, that's wrong. So these are the places where you can score real easy. No, it's not a sure thing. People go back and forth throughout their lifetime at times. And again, it might be the doctor may look, oh, whew, you got so many female hormones. Ooh, you should be a C cup by now. Doctor gives him some hormonal treatment. Boom, looks like Arnold Schwarzenegger. But again, there's nothing wrong for voting for Kamala Harris. Whatever Trump's going to do, he's going to do. But it's against the Torah. That's why you had. Now again, there's 71% of U.S. Jews voted against it. I'm not telling you that they all said, "Oh, it's against the Torah," and maybe they did. I don't know the number, but I would say some would just liberals, right? They vote Democratic Party and they have no qualms at being evil. But the majority of Trump's like, I don't know why they don't vote for me, because they can. It's against the Torah. The Christians, they don't care. I mean, when I was in their churches, it's all devils trying to give everybody else hell. But a lot of Jews, they believe in that Torah, and they just can't. Again, you can deport people when it's beneficial, but if you go after everybody that's just in the United States right away, that's going to hurt the economy. Number one. Number two, that's just plain evil. What you do is you focus on the most dangerous. I think that's what we did last time. I can't remember what time and space, what president. But I know we went after the most dangerous first. Well, because it takes time to deport other people, right? No reason to waste it. I mean, some people are just stupid. I don't like that person. I'm going to deport them. I mean, those immigration government agencies is no different than where I worked. I don't like that person. Now, we know Claudia has already espoused that Mexico has a different point of view. I don't know whether you could talk to Guatemala and Honduras to move like Ecuador. Like it's very difficult to get them to move like El Salvador. That's very extreme. But again, we don't even have them move them like Ecuador yet. Right? So if they move like Ecuador, and again, they have there's like a patriotism program. There's a whole psychology behind how they do it. It's not only arresting people. It's, and raising the children. And again, raising the children patriotic and raising the children based upon Trump Bible is two different things. I mean, that's again, personality, human worship is not what God designed his scriptures for. And Trump knows how that works. Well, the easiest way forward is to placate the masses. And the best way to do that is probably start moving with, if you see there's a certain psychology and mindset to what I'm saying. And again, it was the spirit of Clarence Thomas. Not sure where it is, when it was, and when it wasn't, but it seemed like it was him. And then what's his name? Roberts was kind of showing up in there as far as a psychic blip. And their idea is you don't want a bunch of losses. You don't want to just come in here and we go, no, go. So, think through it, get your experts in line. You're going to be president. You have a lot of access to medical studies and places where they study medical things. And there's no doubt that some children will benefit from birth hormone treatment and adults. And then there may be some other things. So again, you have to get endocrinologists in there. And the funny thing is, endocrinologists are like RFK Jr. or not all of them, but some of them. There's natural. They do things like this one guy had a machine. He wouldn't take your blood pressure without hooking these electrodes up to laying you flat. And then, he runs it. It takes like 17 blood pressures. That was in Naples. You just my mother said, you don't have high blood pressure. It's just they don't know how to take your blood pressure. So again, you don't want to get too crazy out there, but your endocrinologist can look at a person and figure if something's off. But again, the standard one, I don't know if they do that. I don't know. This guy was pretty out there. I mean, I would if I stayed, I'd have stayed with him. I think he was an endocrinologist, but he was also like a general practitioner or something like. I went to him because we wanted to find out if something hormone because there's some illnesses where you have some like bodily issues from hormonal your hormones being off. So I had him check it out again. He said all normal, right? Because I had been on some andro a little bit here or there, so I wanted to get a look at. I looked at it. He said, "You're fine. You're perfect. Don't worry about it. That's not it." Right? And again, the massages helped. I just can't get back to massage because they deep stated me around it. And it's just very difficult after so many years of deep state. Again, some of it's Republican deep state. But again, deep state. It's not a Republican or Democrat in reality. It's devils, demons, antichrists, witches, sorcerers, and people that work for Putin, people that work for China in a shadow form. Well, I don't think Trump owes Putin anything at this point. Oh, yeah, earlier. I didn't get this on here. So what happens is, so they get Melania and they use a vehicle that somebody drove, whether it's Melania or Don Jr. or something. You may go down to a store, look at a car with Don or somebody else or Donald, and that vehicle is then purchased in mass, and they drive it around her so that she'll notice them. And something may happen online to coincide with it, or some decision. And it's probably what's going to happen is eventually they're going to use that to make her happy and sad. And when she's sad, again, they did it to me, my wife would attack me. So they made crank calls to my wife and she'd yell at me. So I believe they've done the same thing to Melania. Because if you look at her, she's like, yeah, when she's looking at Donald Trump. Well, they're doing that. Until Donald Trump does something, they won't do the opposite. Because there's probably an opposite thing to make her feel happy. They do it to me all the time. So they start off with that vehicle, but then it's a certain color, like let's say black. Then they'll use a lot of black vehicles. It won't have to be the same vehicle, but it has to be black vehicles, just in case somebody notices those same vehicles. So then Secret Service is less likely to notice just plain old black vehicles showing up. And then if you look at the license plate, it may say nudie or something like that, or triple X. Right, so that's how they start that extortion and how set her off. Maybe not. This is happening maybe because of Donald or something like that. My life would be better if we weren't with you. And she psychically, she's projected the fact that she's not this, and she doesn't know why she's has to be judged as this. She says it's Donald. Donald did it. She doesn't know because she's not. She doesn't care what people do. Melania Trump does not care what you do in your life. Now, she has political opinions, but if you want to be something else, Melania Trump wants it to be known that she doesn't care. I can't figure it out completely myself, although that I spoke to a lot of European cam girls, and I want to get married. I wish I could have. It just didn't work because the deep state attacked it. I had great conversations with my family, so I have connections into European women, and of course, Melania was a model, so a lot of them are models also, and things like that. So I'm in that. I'm in her clique. I think that's how it happened, and I'm psychic on top of it. So. I could have been in her life her whole life. I don't know. Hashem does it. I don't. Yeah, she's a nice spirit. It's just I can't communicate with her unless I'm in, and for some reason I wasn't in. I don't know, or maybe she wasn't powered up. Maybe that's what happened. She got powered up, and now I can receive. Well, once your husband wins the presidency, you power up a little bit. But I haven't received, and it was like really negative. It's like Susie Wiles for a while. It's still there. Susie Wiles is the most hated evil person on the earth. I look at it this morning, think, you just don't know her. She's a devil. She could be. I don't know, but she doesn't look like. I thought maybe that she had some connect into the Bush administration as far as spy versus spy, but it doesn't look like it. Right? That other woman could have helped us. What was her name? She was in the Trump administration the first go around. Can't remember her name. Nah, they're pretty deceptive. I really am not sure how you're going to do it because the way I understand it is that the people that could take them out have to be part of it before they get anywhere. So that's why they killed me. Really, that's why they killed me. I mean, the major hit. They've been trying to kill me for years off of some BS. I have no idea why. Right. Again, I had nothing to do with the sex crime other than my mother and I got rid of the dude. And, everybody else was going to tell him and did tell him to turn himself in. No, we were afraid. You were afraid of that guy. I mean, I wasn't. I was just like a kid still. I was like, you couldn't take this guy to a party because he'd have like a few drinks, and he just like Billy Jack. He was one of them kids that learned like from when he was like 3 years old Taekwondo. So I guess he was about 19 or something like that, or 20, and he just do these roundhouse kicks, and cops would be there. It was just horrible. He had probably like 10 warrants or something. Like I said, I was a kid. I wouldn't make that assessment as a kid. And I was just like, can we stay here? Yes, you can stay here. That's all it was. Although I do know they were having sex. The other guy, that was quick. I think he got arrested really quick. I may have communicated with a couple of them after the government, but that's the way I am. I communicate with everybody. Not all that much, like 1 call, 2 calls. Again, trying to figure out also who may be attacking my life. It could be them. I know the one guy's father had money. Which I never understood why he needed a place to stay. It didn't make any sense. Now I would go off and bake food from whoever, and they go off and do their thing during the day. I think what it is, my buddy worked, and I would go down there and wait for him to get home from work, and then he would make me hot dog and cheese sandwiches. Well, you can't eat kosher when you're begging for food. That's pretty much the last time I hung out with anybody that I grew up with. That was it. I was like, nah, you weren't that good. You weren't that good at people when I was growing up. Not now. Nah, the cop. I said it before. I was like, the cops hid me because I wouldn't be beneficial. Back then, it didn't matter. Today, they wouldn't do it. They'd be afraid of it. Most cops, right? Because I had exculpatory information. I don't think it would have. I don't think it would have changed the case, but they didn't want it. Just the fact that they were having girlfriend boyfriend sex that would muddy the case. Right. And then if they had asked me, "Do you know how old she is?" I have no clue. I don't even know her. All I know is I know it's Satan because I didn't talk to her all that much. I don't think at all. And then all of a sudden I had a really nice conversation with her. And I think she liked me. That's what I mean, it's his girlfriend and they're having sex. It's their business. Right. But, Yeah, I think she kind of liked me, and then that was it. Everything went crazy. I'm like, oh my god! And later in life, I realized the trend. It's a curse. But again, you have to understand, as a spirit, I get cursed based on my spiritual work. And I'm a person that helps women. I'm also a spirit that helps women, but I'm also a spirit that sanctifies marriage, that puts people together. Like the stuff I speak is really who I am, actually, as like an angel being or something. And again, there is no such thing as an angel being, but it exists on this planet because there's hierarchy here, which is really a lowarchy. But God has to make this. Oh, that's an angel, bigger than you, so God can get through with His angels and the other stuff. And if you believe God's a woman, I accept your thought. And because there's evidence that even Judaism, that God has taken the feminine. So I thought maybe, and it still could be something. Again, the deep state idea is it's like racketeering and organized crime. So if you come into a community and there's these secret society and they're crooks, you just pay them money. So again, even though there's all these different societies that I'm speaking about, they're all part of the same thing, like the underworld. And what they do is they buy in. You buy in, just because you were killing me because my mother and I did you, I got you arrested, right? Doesn't mean and next thing it's the Marshal Service doing it. Right? No honor among crooks, right? The bottom line is it's greed. That's why they do it. They'll make up all these law enforcement stories and everything, religious stories. They're doing me right now. They want me to freak out, but I won't do it. He even brought a cop around that flipped me off. No, he didn't. But that's what they do. That's how they do it. I have to do it to you, right? I should be like all of you, right? Not care about the truth. Some of the agents really like me, but they'd have no life if they ever actually were my friend. It's a very evil planet, believe me. Well, I just hope that there is a group of people, like maybe Lynn, or what's her name? Not Lynn Cheney, Lon Cheney, Lynn Cheney, Liz Cheney, and maybe even Kamala Harris, that will establish just a rapport. Like, where can we agree? Again, if they take the House and the Senate, I don't even know if they'll be interested in that. Right. But again, when it comes to litigation, right, there's a lot of litigation that can stop a lot of what was articulated. And that's where I think the Supreme Court is saying, we're going to just be here forever, every day. And they want people to think about what they're doing. Even the Democratic Party side, I just received some more, right, that before you litigate, just make sure it's clean. Don't junk up the court with nonsense. So again, instead of saying gender dysphoria doesn't exist, simply say we have alternative ideas about it. It exists. We believe the treatment should be, at least, again, I think the way to come at it is the treatment is not broad enough to allow for birth gender treatment. And that's where we believe it is. Again, I'm not telling anybody that any of it's going to work. I'm not telling you that gender dysphoria doesn't exist. What I'm saying is I believe, based upon what I know, and again, I'm just a layman, but I'm a little psychic, and I've been correct on a lot of different things, that birth gender hormone treatment will work for some of them, at least, if not a large number. And I also, because you're moving the other hormone. So again, we should try first birth gender. And there may be a way to diagnose to see if that works. Also, there is obvious Munchausen by proxy going on in gender dysphoria cases. And we need to make sure that somebody independent can monitor that to make sure that it's not a child being pushed. Again, if you tell somebody that's 3 years old until they're 8 that they're a girl, they're going to say they're a girl. Like, if you know how these people are, the deep state's like this also. But if you know how people are that lie, I was in the government with a lot of people that lie. I mean, it's like they believe their own shit. So she goes, oh, this is the first time this kid came up to me. I didn't do anything. Kid came up and said, I'm a girl, mommy. Meanwhile, the mother, treated the kid like a girl, even put some suggestions out there, maybe in a veiled form, may even cast a few spells. So again, I'm not saying that we need what would be called conversion therapy, where I grab you off the street and I convert you, or a mother says my kid's going in and this is going to happen. The doctor should find something, and there should be a process. You have to explain your process to the Supreme Court. But again, I would just say that it's gender identity, birth gender identity, and birth heterosexuality identification treatment. People want that. There are people that don't want to be gay, so I'm not sure. How the Biden administration moved all that. That's probably some of what did the man. Right. So again, do what you need to do. I'm going to go need to do what I need to do. Take care. Praise God in all that you do. Praise